Hey, welcome back. It's the Exponential Files. I'm Larry Lawfer with your host, Jim Lowenstern. We've got a great guest. She's from Hawaii. She actually sailed there with her family years ago from Canada and has been working real estate for 16 years now. She loves the island and she loves real estate. Welcome aboard, Kinga Mills from Hawaii.
Thank you.
Welcome,
Thank
Kinga.
you. Thank you for having me on the show.
It's a pleasure to have you here. So you were just telling us that you actually studied real estate in college, but for whatever reason you didn't remember it. What year was that?
That was a long time ago.
I was there in the 70s, and I know why I can't remember it.
It was, I can't remember the exact year, but it was sometime in the mid 90s.
Yeah.
And so I did study real estate. It was a 2-semester course. So I did a first semester and then second semester and completely filed it away the minute I finished school, and completely filed it away till about 10 years ago that I actually went through this course. At that time, the college that I went to was in British Columbia on Vancouver Island. And so that would have been Canadian real estate. And then by the time I remembered I even did this course was when I was already in real estate in Washington State years later. And I was just thinking of moving someplace out of Washington. And for some odd reason, I was like, okay, maybe, go back to the island. And then somehow it popped into my mind. I'm like, wait a minute, I actually did finish this course because I went on to challenge the exam again instead of like redoing the entire. Well, it's a lot of education. Like it's actually pretty hard to pass it. So.
And
so which island are you on in Hawaii?
I'm on Oahu right now. So that's my love is Oahu. Every island is different. Every island is beautiful. My love has always been for Oahu just because it's I like people. I like the city vibe. I love busy. I love having a variety, which we have here, anything from high rises to beaches to secluded beaches. So I enjoy that.
So what's the customer base in your business? Let's talk about real estate in Oahu.
So Oahu, we have about 1 million people on Oahu, roughly. And it is I would say a very more so residential area. We do have a second home market for sure, but we do have a lot of people just living here, just residents. So a lot of sales that happened on Oahu are residential sales, or not residential, but people that are actually first-time home buyers, not first time, but primary home buyers. We do have definitely a second home market for the vacation market. And so there's a portion of that as well. So it varies. But most people, or a big chunk of people, just live here permanently.
And that's your clientele are the people that live there, the people that refer you because of
I actually have a mix. So I have a mix of I actually work with the military as well, so that's a big portion of mine. And then condos, I love condos, that city vibe. So that would be, and that's a mix of, I would say, primary and secondary homes. So so that one's a bit of a mix.
Did the pandemic change the kind of buyers that you're getting? Are you getting international buyers more so now, coming in from California or New York or anything like that? Massachusetts?
So the pandemic, so when we shut down, I mean, I don't think I'll ever get that chance ever again to be on Waikiki Beach, to walk. And I actually have a YouTube video out there someplace on my channel there is nobody there. I literally had the entire beach, entire Waikiki almost to myself to walk because you could still walk, but you couldn't really do too much. But so the international flights stopped. We went from having 30,000 arrivals per day, upwards of 30,000 arrivals per day, to something like 500 people coming in, and 80% of that was crew, or right? Because so we just kind of shut down completely. And the international buyers, because of the lockdowns like Japan, they still had those 2 weeks. They could travel fairly. I mean, it changed after a while, I think after 2 years, but they still had to, let's say, go through their quarantine for 2 weeks upon arrival back home. So that slowed things down. I can't say it's not back to what it was, but what we did gain is more of the West Coast buyers. We had people coming in working remotely. So New York, but a lot of our buyer base, I would say, is the West Coast, just because it's closer to, it's a 6-hour hop on the plane and you're over here. So just, yeah, so it's a little bit quicker than coming in from New York.
So let's
but
talk.
We do have East Coast buyers as well.
Let's talk money. What do you get for how much? Let's talk a few different price ranges.
Okay.
Like the bottom of the barrel, the middle, and the cream of the crop.
The Oahu market there's a huge variety. So when we quote statistics or median home prices, like the median home price for a condo is I think last month was $498, and the median home price dropped to under $1 million, which was like 1.125 a year ago. So it dropped a little bit, but it was just crazy. However, that is, we, even though we're one island and it's fairly small, we have so many different markets here that it's hard to just kind of paint it all with one picture, or with one paintbrush. So in Honolulu, you're looking at let's say for condos, you're looking at older condos, let's say Waikiki, in that mid 500,000 range for 2 bedrooms, give or take a little bit, or I mean, it could go up to 900 plus. But when you're into the luxury new condos that are in Kaka'ako, about a 20-minute walk from there, you're into they start at 500, high 500s, mid to 500s for 297 square feet. Okay.
So that's
and
like
then it goes
vacation apartment.
Pardon me?
I mean, that's like a vacation apartment. You're not moving a family of 4 into that.
I wouldn't say it's even a vacation apartment. I mean, it can be for a second home, and then to have that, and some buyers definitely have that, or some residents definitely have that. But people live in smaller places in general on the island. So our homes, unless we're talking like something unique and large and millions of dollars, our average home size is much smaller than homes on the mainland. So when I get calls and somebody requests, hey, I'm looking for a 3-car garage and minimum 2,100 or 2,500 square feet, because that seems small in some places, especially coming from Texas where everything's just huge. That is a conversation that I have to have and say, okay, well, how much money are we talking about here, right? Because our homes tend to be smaller. We do a lot of our living outside.
What would that cost? Is that 2 million, 5 million?
For the larger ones?
Yeah.
It would be, I would say, I mean, unless it's older, I would say 2 million and up. Okay. 2, 3, 5. It's we go into the 20s, and I mean, those are one of type of homes. We don't have the California type of real estate where everything starts at the 50 and goes up to 100 plus. So we don't really have that here. 2 million.
It is on Maui though.
Right. Yeah. So there's more, I would say the more expensive properties can be on Maui or Kauai. Yeah. But we're talking, one of here and there kind of thing, right? So it's not a huge market. And our market definitely has a great variety. So we do have the luxury market, and it's more about location. It's what's interesting about this, when people think luxury, or people just think of a regular home, especially moving here. I have to say that sometimes, or a lot of times, even the finishes can be nicer on the mainland. They're larger. They're kind of loaded with more of features in general. Our homes, what you're often paying for, especially if there's a bigger lot, it's location. It's the ocean. It's being in a certain neighborhood by the ocean. It's because there is no more land. So the homes get
But when you
there's a
say
great
there's no more
variety. There
land,
isn't like a cookie cutter. There are areas where they have newer communities, more like, let's say, Arizona, Las Vegas, or Washington, Florida kind of communities. But a lot of our real estate is just it's not necessarily the same. Everything is almost, a lot of it is
well,
custom.
let's talk about that. I think I remember back to one of my first real estate classes, and maybe we were talking about Hawaii. Isn't it all lease held by the Dole Corporation or something? What's the story with that?
Yeah, so it's funny that you mentioned that, because I actually did get an email or a text actually from somebody referred me yesterday or 2 days ago and said, Kinga, how come your condos are so inexpensive? And I looked up the condo and I can't remember, I think it was like $120,000. And the minute somebody says that it's inexpensive, or they're looking at something that is in the hundreds, 200s, sometimes even in the 300s, or I have a hair here. Immediately, I especially if they're not from here, immediately it's like, okay, I know what they're looking at. They're looking at leasehold property. So what happens, leasehold is mainly, I would say mainly in Waikiki. That's still a big portion of leasehold properties in that one neighborhood. And that is mostly condos. There are a handful of homes here and there that might still be on leased land, but the majority of our homes are fee simple, just like any other home in the US or Canada for that matter. So leasehold, what a lot of what most people don't understand is you're buying the home or the condo, the actual interior, but you don't own the land that the building sits on. So imagine buying the home and not the land. Somebody else owns the land. So you can own the land, and then somebody and I can own the house. And I buy it. Usually the leases are for a very long time, but for 50 years, but it just depends when in that life of that lease you're purchasing this property. So whether it's, let's say it's a condo. So the shorter the lease, the less expensive the property tends to be, because there is no guarantee at the end of the lease what's going to happen. If the landowner doesn't renew it, in worst case scenario, which doesn't happen very often, but worst case scenario, let's say they wanted to redevelop something, you're asked to leave.
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of what people don't understand. And you're also paying maintenance if it's a condo, and you're also paying the rent on the land. So it can sometimes be on $120,000 condo. You may have $3,000 or $4,000 monthly payments when you add the lease and the maintenance fee together. So that's a big surprise to people. Yeah, it's not always that high.
Why would people do that?
It's like the math of a well, it's like a co-op. It's the math. I mean,
yeah.
It is what it is. At the end of the day, the value is figured out by the market. Goes up, goes down, but people figure it out.
Yeah,
and they probably stay on longer on the market, and they're probably very difficult, or if not impossible, to finance.
They can be financed. The lease has to be long. So if it's and don't, I'm not a lender, so don't quote me on the current rules, right? But it typically has to be the lease has to be 5 years longer than the loan. So in general, but every lender has their rules. So it has to be a long-term lease, and they can be financed, but it definitely depends on how long the lease is. If it's like a 35-year lease left and the 40-year lease, or it's been extended, then it's really not a problem, because I mean, we're talking a long-term thing. Now, the other thing to watch out with leasehold is it's not just one lease. Every lease is different. They have so it depends how it's written. It can be that every year goes up a certain percentage. So your fee goes up. Or every 5 years, there's a clause in there that it gets renegotiated. So always attorneys get involved, because the owners don't want it to go up and the landowner wants it to go up, right? So there has to, so it can go up. There's, so anybody that's purchasing leasehold has to understand what they're getting.
To shorten this segment of the show,
yeah,
better to buy fee simple.
it's more common, or I would say
it's
yeah,
easier to understand, easier to calculate the value.
correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not as many moving parts.
Yeah, and leases, nothing wrong with them, except as long as somebody understands what they're buying, what the
And if
terms
you're
are,
getting a
and they're fine
discount,
with it.
negotiate that lease.
So Kinga, let's go back to when you started. And I know that you're probably very helpful to other agents. You're an EXP, so you're probably recruiting other people to come in. What kind of ideas and help do you provide new agents, or what? One of the questions we always get asked is, what's the one thing you would do if you had to do it over again?
If I had to do it over again, I mean, I have always, I don't know if I would probably stay in touch with my past clients in better. I would
Right.
say that that's one thing that we sell. A lot of us
Yeah.
do, sell, and then we're on to the next, and
Right.
we don't stay in touch as much as we need to, and then we're chasing that next person, where then we find out that our client has bought or sold with somebody else.
Right.
And so I would say that probably would be one thing that I would change. Really have a strong follow-up system from day one, because those people, whether it's 5, 7 years, 3 years from now, end up selling, or end up referring. So I would say that would be the biggest thing. What I find that I did well from the beginning is I always educated myself. So I always made sure that I listened to podcasts, or maybe not then, but any type of training that I could go to, conferences, that kind of stuff, that really stay on top of the market, because it changes so quickly, right? You can't just kind of do your thing and forget about the world, because different things come upon us, and new agents are learning that. And then if you don't, then you may be left behind.
So
Will be.
that's a good point. EXP is sort of cutting edge, a disruptive force in the industry. Where were you before EXP?
My last brokerage was Hawaii Life for the last 5 years. Well-known company, local company, great brokerage. But I switched to EXP in June of last year, and love it.
Yeah. There's a lot to love. What are some of the things that you love about it?
So when I switched, I did my research, because I've been in the business for a long time. So it wasn't like a blind move. I've been approached about EXP for a long time. And honestly, I was telling somebody yesterday that I should have not had that wall in front of me that I did when people did ask and reach out, because they were trying to tell me something, and I was so resistant to it. And so what I do love about it is, even though I did my research and prior to moving, it's a big move, right? It's scary, it's emotional, it's you like your friends and all of that. But at the end of the day, you have to look out for number one, and what is the best thing for you going forward, because we just have to look up for ourselves. And I found that once I joined, there's just way more even that I've researched, like all the training, all the help. The minute I switched, I had people come emailing me from Florida, from other places, and not just, hey, Kinga, it's great to see you. It was more about, hey, if you need any help, we're here, and not asking anything for return. I didn't necessarily join them or name them as their sponsor. We can only do one, but still, I had so many people just reaching out to me. If you need anything, just let us know. We're going to share this with you, that with you. So I actually really like that part of it. How I was surprised, pleasantly surprised.
We've had so many stories. We've had so many stories just like that here on the show, where, including myself, if I need someone or I need something, you just put it on the workplace, and all of a sudden you have answers, because it's an international company, and everybody's paying attention and willing to be helpful. And that's just not the case in most agencies, most of the franchise agencies.
Yeah.
So what were the sort of the things that, you were putting the hand up, say, don't talk to me about EXP. I don't want to hear about it. What were sort of those things?
there was a period of time that I got approached a lot, and I don't know why. It was probably just random, or some kind of coaching was going on, but it seemed spammy at that time, and it was probably the wrong approach. It was like, how can I help you with your business? Well, you don't even know me. And I think that's what kind of pushed me away originally, because it's like, you're contacting me from Michigan, let's say, and without even me kind of having a relationship, or just saying hi to me, you're approaching me. So
So
I
this
think
was emails or texts or phone calls where they were spamming?
it was all of it. It was all of
Everything.
it. So,
Okay.
and then the rumors, right? Some of them rumors, pyramid scheme, and all of this. So I think I just didn't do enough investigation. And finally last year, what I did is, somebody approached me that I finally said, I was like, the 16,000 wasn't speaking to me. Yes, I was paying more. Of course I was paying more. And I knew, I was like, okay, I have the easy button. I like my brokerage. But then kind of the conversation ended up being, and you can earn money from different ways. We have this, we have that. And slowly the wall started coming down, and I started asking questions. So the value came out a little bit better. And
Right.
I was ready, because I was just ready for something. I was like, do I grow a team? How do I do this? Where do I go? I've been in this for 16 years. And at some point I was like, okay, I feel like I need a change. And at that point, somebody came along, my sponsor, and he was very gracious in offering all the
And
information.
is he in Hawaii or
He is,
elsewhere?
yeah.
Okay.
And without trying to sell me, just started giving me information, and was open to all my questions. And I bombarded him with a ton of questions. But it was the fact that I've been watching EXP for a while, on and off, but not really digging deep, just kind of
Right.
seeing a lot of people in the industry, a lot of my friends, posting really good things about it. And so I said, maybe it's time for me to kind of dig into it a little bit more. And now I wish I would have done it sooner, right? But hindsight's 2020. So
That's always the
Right.
story here.
yeah.
My personal story with this, I had a partner, and I was with another franchise, Remax, and we didn't want to split up, but we definitely weren't going to stay with Remax. And she went to EXP and said, come, come, come. And I love this woman, still do. Suzanne McInerney. Jim, you know her well. And I went to Keller Williams, and then I realized that wasn't the space for me. So I called Suzanne just 2 weeks ago, and I said, I apologize. I wish I had listened to you and come with you. But we're here now. And
Yeah.
and that's very important. The support I get, the many ways that besides my own commission and the lower splits and the lower cap rate, besides that, I can buy stock. I can,
Higher split.
Higher split.
Higher split. Lower cap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are so many
higher
benefits.
split, lower cap. Higher split, lower cap.
Yeah.
Yeah. More money in my pocket. But
Yeah.
that's it. And more respect, and more respect among each other is what I've seen. It's
So let's talk about EXP Luxury. I see you're part of that, and I guess we have a few minutes. What
Yeah.
do you think that's going to do for your business? Because I'm part
So
of it
it
as
already
well.
has. I ended up getting a listing, partially because of that as well. So I have a condo in the Ritz-Carlton. So it definitely fit that, the advertising and the program. It is for properties that are over $1 million. What they do is they actually provide, or through EXP Luxury, there's added advertising where it's global. So I can send the information to the sellers with weekly updates that your property has been shown in Market Watch and Upmarket. It has been shown in Wall Street Journal. It is on different channels. I can pull up the stats that for I think it's 77 different countries and 77 different portals where it is. I'm Polish as well, so I was like, oh, let's see if it's showing up in Poland, right, or in Canada or different places. So it does. I mean, you just never know where the buyer is coming from. I actually had a showing yesterday, and somebody flew in from. It wasn't my client, but another agent was showing. So to the island looking for a second home, a second condo. So you just never know where they're watching. So luxury, the EXP luxury offers that, plus the advertising, plus the pamphlets that are offered to the prospective sellers are very well designed. So we just look super professional.
And it takes like 5 minutes to put it together.
Oh yeah, the only thing you can really change on it is just the picture in the original picture
and the address
and the address and your information. That's it. And
your own logo.
And it looks very good. So when you're talking to the seller, when I'm talking to this, fairly new with this EXP program, or the luxury. So when I was talking to the seller, I said, look, this is where your condo is going to be presented. And just, you never know where somebody might be coming from, especially in our market here. So the fact that it's being shown in the different portals and all these national magazines, then it's a huge bonus over someone that is just putting the listing on the MLS and then having it just go out to a few of the regular portals.
And
because many of the people that are going to buy
ambassador.
are not from Hawaii. You know, they may be coming from outside that, and that's why that's so valuable.
In our market, especially, right? If they're looking for a second home, and then, or the thing is that people travel too, so you just never know where they're looking.
Yeah.
So it is somebody from Malaysia is going to purchase a particular home today, and we're counting on that person? Probably not, but you never know, right? I've literally sold homes to people in Afghanistan that they were did entire transactions during years ago, and because they were in the military, and so you just never know where somebody is paying attention, and being able to at least offer that to the seller and saying, look, I'm doing everything that I should be doing locally, just like anybody else might be doing it here, but also this is where it's going, and this is what it looks like as well. So you can tell it just looks really good.
Lots of firsts on this episode. Sales to military personnel in Afghanistan. We really never talked about Afghanistan before, but before we end, Inman Ambassador, I saw that on your website. What's that? I mean, so I know what Inman is.
My third year as an Inman Ambassador. It's for the Inman Connect conferences. It is it is a for anybody that hasn't been attended to one. They're great. They're not brokerage specific, so it doesn't matter what brokerage somebody is affiliated with. Nobody cares. We are all one. And as an Inman Ambassador, I'm there to help, to spread the word. I do have slight discounts sometimes, so anybody can look me up, find me on Instagram, and just ask me for a code. And I would definitely say attend, because there are so many different people that present and so much good information to just keep that education level up. And there's one on the East Coast in New York and one on the West Coast in Las Vegas, typically, unless they get switched. But they're well worth attending. And they're also very social. So there are a lot of events and after parties. So it's not just a conference. It's a great networking space.
That being said, there's a lot of people from EXP in Cabo today.
Yeah, and I've been following that. So
similar kind of group.
Yeah, I went to the Maui one, so I just couldn't figure out how to, go to Cabo. I would love to travel all the time, but
I've been to your island, home island, and I've been to Bouchard Gardens.
Oh
yeah.
In Victoria,
yeah.
That's another great place.
Very beautiful place.
Yes. So I've been very fortunate to have lived in really pretty places, and I never take it for granted. I don't always spend every day on the beach like everybody thinks. We work and we do the
Pam Anderson come from Vancouver Island?
Sorry, what's that?
Pamela Anderson, didn't she grow up there?
Yeah, she's up in Courtenay, I believe, which is about 3 hours from Victoria. So smaller community. Vancouver Island is pretty. It's my second home. I would love
It's
to.
beautiful.
Yeah.
So, where would people get in touch with you, or how do people get in touch with you?
I've actually just over the last a while, I love Instagram. So at Kinga Mills, Hawaii, is my Instagram. So I always like to connect and give that out, but I'm also on Facebook or my website, kingamillshawaii.com, and all my contact information is on there.
It's really wonderful. It is such a pleasure to have you on our show and to
Thank
talk about this. Any more questions, Jim?
No, I think we covered a lot.
We did cover a lot. Thank you so much, Kinga
Thank
Miles
you,
of
Jim and Larry. Yep.
Hawaii. We're thrilled to have you. And we're thrilled to have all of you join us each week. So you hear someone like Kinga share information about how she's successful and how you too can be successful. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, audience. Subscribe,
Thank you,
like.
Kinga.
Thank you.
Yeah, the
Thank you so much.
exponentialfiles.com.
Exponential Files. Tune in next